Hey, good morning. My name's Todd Atwater, and I'm running for South Carolina Attorney General because I believe the Attorney General's office is the best office and the most important election in 2018. It's important because we have to address public corruption at its core. We have to address gangs, and we have to address drug dealers and pill pushers. And the Attorney General's office is the one that can do the most for each of those. And it's the one that can help us begin to restore the faith in our institutions and our government. On day one, I will appoint a public corruption unit led by a seasoned prosecutor and a seasoned investigator, and we're going to stop this public corruption, and we're going to hit it at its core. Whether you're a dog catcher or you're the governor of South Carolina, you're on notice that the AG is paying attention, and we're going to stop this. We're going to root it out. Also, we're going to start a gang unit. These gangs are coming into South Carolina and they're seeping into every corner and community in South Carolina, and we can't stand it. We've had a young lady come down for a USC-Kentucky football game who was shot by a known gang member out of Newberry. That's not fair, and what was said by the authorities at the time was simply, this could happen anywhere. When I'm the Attorney General, the answer is going to be, it could happen anywhere but here. These gangs are not going to be welcome in South Carolina, and what we're going to do is we're going on the road. If you're in Newberry, if you're in Mullins, if you're in McClellanville, Lexington, Greenville, wherever you are as a gang, I will take the grand jury on the road. It's not going to stay in its ivory tower here in Columbia, but we're going to go on the road. Drug dealers and pill pushers, you're on notice too. You are not going to continue to harm our students and our children, our brothers, our sisters, our families, and our friends. You are destroying the very fabric that we have, and we're not going to allow that. Let me come back again to the public corruption, because I'm standing in front of the State House. 6 indictments in public corruption coming out of this building right here. And our Attorney General can't be there because he has a conflict. I won't have a conflict. I'm going after this, and we are going to restore the faith. I believe a public office is a public trust, and we have to do right by South Carolina. South Carolina deserves better, and it's going to get better. I ask you, and I ask for your vote, but I ask you to join me in restoring the faith in our government. Thank you so much. I hope you're happy with what we've done, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Jamie?
Yeah, sure. So it's interesting that you're from Lexington. Alan Wilson is from Lexington. You're a Republican. He's a Republican. Setting the campaign up for a little bit of an inter-county, inter-party battle.
Sure.
Why challenge Wilson in particular? I know you mentioned that he's sitting out in the probe. Can you talk a little bit more about the job that he's done and what you think about it?
Well, he's not just sitting out in the probe. He has actually created it, and not in the public corruption. He didn't create that I know of. But what he's done is he asked David Pascoe to take this over. And then when it got too close and the heat was turned up, he tried to pull it away. That's not what your Attorney General should be doing. They should not have conflicts, and I don't, and I won't. We're going to prosecute this. As for what he's done, I think that's a good question to ask him. 8 years, and he wants 4 more to do what? I'm not sure exactly what he can say. What I will say is I will deliver on these things, and I'm just doubtful, is a nice way to say it, that he's delivered on the things that he said he's doing. That's the bottom line. As for being in Lexington, I love my county. I grew up here, but that has really nothing to do with this race. That's just geography. He could be from Greenville or I could be from Horry. It wouldn't really matter. It is just part of a campaign, and it doesn't matter where you're from, whether you challenge or don't challenge. But it's a good question.
Looking at your work history.
Yes.
You've spent a lot of time working for organizations before you were elected to the House, and then while you are representative.
Right.
Working for organizations that lobby state government.
Mm-hmm.
The president and CEO of the Medical Association being the most recent. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because it could potentially create a conflict if these organizations have business before state government or have an interest in the decisions that
Sure.
lawmakers like yourself make.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked that question, because we need to knock this down. I think that this campaign, that issue is going to be raised, and I think it's going to be raised in a negative way. And I think mudslinging is something that the South Carolina doesn't deserve, and they're tired of. Yes, I did work for those organizations. I'm an attorney of 26 years. I've been general counsel to a number of companies. Each of those had companies like an insurance company, a IT company that we created, sold. I've had more experience in business, I think, and how it works. As for the conflict, let me make sure the record is clear. I never ever did anything related to the advocacy of any organization while I was with the Medical Association. I'm proud of the work I've done. I represented the business community just like a lot of attorneys do. I represented the manufacturers just like a lot of attorneys do. And I represented the good guys in medicine, doctors trying to heal people. But when I became a legislator, I was sure every step of the way. The Ethics Commission, I went there before I even started this, and they said it would be fine. I had nothing to do with advocacy. I made sure that I was out of the room whenever that came on. But let me also say that I made sure that the appearance of a conflict didn't happen while I was on the floor of the House. If it looked like it might affect doctors, I stayed away from it. Not because it was illegal or improper, but because I didn't want this to ever be a question in my serving at the legislature or the Attorney General. As for will it be a conflict at the Attorney General? Absolutely not. Somebody does wrong, we're going to go after it. Doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, we're going after it. My friends know that I am going to give them the same treatment that I'm going to give anybody else. That's only fair. That's what South Carolina deserves.
Back to the corruption probe, you mentioned you were disappointed the Attorney General was not involved in it. Are you comfortable with Solicitor Pascoe's investigation?
Well, I don't know Solicitor Pascoe at all, but he didn't ask for this job. All I know is that Solicitor Pascoe has been asked to do this. He's obviously uncovered enough that 6 people are now under indictment and trials are being set. So, I'm going to have to leave it to the people to judge whether he's done a good job or not. But I go back to, he didn't ask for it. He was asked to do it. And when he continued his probe and investigation and started finding things, the current Attorney General said no and went to the Supreme Court and wanted it back. You'll have to ask him why.
Representative Atwater,
yes, sir.
You've been a representative here. You've also been paying attention to the ongoing corruption probe. In your opinion and what you may be seeing personally, how much corruption exists in the State House, and have you seen it personally?
Well, I can address that those 6 indictments were not things that were very open in the State House, but there's a lot going on that needs investigation. Every single day you have 170 members in this building trying to do something right for South Carolina. I don't want to disparage a single person in there. But when you have things like, rumors of vote exchange for judicial candidates, when you have people that may be on a payroll and they're calling it something else, I personally believe that attorneys shouldn't be voting on judicial candidates. And I think that there is influence within the State House in that area. And I think we need to make sure that we set these things up so that there isn't the possibility of corruption. But I will say time and time again, if you are going to have personal gain because you're serving in office, we're going to come after you. That's the bottom line. You should be serving and restoring the faith in our public offices.
Do you think that lawmakers should be forced to disclose amounts of the income that they get from private sources, and also if they have LLCs, which could be paid by a number
Sure.
of clients, should they have to disclose those sources?
It's a great question. Obviously, you reported mine. Mine's open and out there. The only real issue directly is you have some attorney-client privileges that's going to be a very difficult thing to overcome. But I think that source disclosure is absolute must. I voted for it and promoted it in my time in the State House. As to amounts, I would support it, but I don't think it's necessary, simply because what I believe would happen is somebody has some money and other people might say that's improper. and it might have nothing to do with anything they're doing at the State House. Maybe they, but it's a good question. It's one we're going to have to debate.
But what about sources that pay LLCs that could be consulting organizations?
Well, I think that's what has resulted in these probes, and that's been the way around it. I think we have to close that loophole. Yeah, Jamie, that's a great question, and I do believe that is something we have to address. I don't have a direct answer that says here's going to solve the problem. What I can tell you is the Attorney General doesn't care what you make. He cares how you make it, or he should, and I will. Yeah.
And then also, what is your new business, the LLC that you started?
We have an insurance firm. A partner and I have started that. We started that in August. We have a number of clients, but it's an insurance company like any other. Yep. We have anything else on Facebook or? All right. Great. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank y'all very, very much. Y'all have a great day, and please help join us in restoring the faith in our institutions.